Chapter 1, Mishnah 8. The following Mishnah deals with a type of bread that is primarily used as animal food. This bread was baked from dough known as dog's dough, which had a large amount of bran mixed into the flour. This dough was used mainly as dog food and would not be eaten by most people. However, if it did not have too much bran, it was somewhat edible, and shepherds who could not get other bread easily would eat some of it. Sometimes, however, the bread would have so much bran that it was practically inedible, in which case even the shepherds would not eat it. The Mishnah discusses the law of this bread with regard to Challah, as well as regarding various other laws. We now turn to the words of the Mishnah. Regarding dog's dough, the following law applies when the shepherds eat from it. That is, if the bread does not have so much bran that would make it almost inedible. It is subject to the obligation of Challah, which applies only to bread. Since the shepherds eat it, it is considered bread. We may make an Erev Chatzeros with it. An Erev Chatzeros is made by putting bread into one of the houses in a courtyard in order to permit carrying between a house and a courtyard on Shabbos. We may make Shitufei Mevuos with it. Shitufei Mevuos, which can be made with any food, permits carrying from a courtyard to an alleyway on Shabbos. We recite the blessing of Hamotzi on it, and we join in a zimun on it. That is, if 3 people eat this bread, they are obligated in the zimun blessing, since it is considered bread. It may be made, i.e. baked, on Yom Tov, even though it is forbidden to bake foods for animals on Yom Tov. Since some of the bread will be eaten by the shepherds, it is considered baking for people, not animals. A person may fulfill his obligation with it on Pesach. That is, if such bread is baked as matzah, one can eat it on the first night of Pesach to fulfill his matzah obligation. Since it is considered bread, it can be made in a matzah, which must also be bread. However, if the shepherds do not eat from the dog's bread because it contains a large amount of bran, the following laws apply. It is not subject to the challah obligation. Since it is eaten only by animals, it is considered animal food. We may not make an eruve chatzeros with it, and we may not make shitufei mevuos with it. Since such bread is eaten only by animals, it is not considered food at all, and thus it cannot be used even for shitufei mevuos. We do not recite the blessing of hamotzi on it, and we do not join in a zimun because of it, since it is not bread. It may not be baked on Yom Tov because it is forbidden to do melacha, certain types of labor, on Yom Tov to prepare food for animals. A person cannot fulfill his matzah obligation with it on Pesach. The reason for this is that this type of dog's bread is not considered bread, and matzah must be bread. The Mishnah concludes with a law that applies to both types of dog's bread. In either case, i.e., whether the bread is eaten by shepherds or not, it can become tameh under the law of tumah of foods. In a case of pressing need, even dog's bread that is not normally eaten by shepherds will be eaten by humans. Therefore, with regard to the laws of tumah, it is considered food.